In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this red bottom fondant shoe cake topper. Hi, it's Carolyn. If you want to learn how to bake and decorate amazing cakes, then I would love for you to join me by hitting subscribe and the bell. So today I'm showing you how to make a fondant shoe cake topper, and it's super simple with the help of this little fondant shoe high heel kit. Now, I got this so long ago, and I don't think they make this one anymore, but I found very similar ones online, and they actually are a little better because they have more pieces in it, and I'm going to link that in the description for you. So let's get started. So I have my little shoe kit here, and look, I have the receipt in here, and I got it in 2012. It's so old. Anyway, it comes with all these little pieces in here and directions, heel former, the sole cutter, the shoe former, the heel former, and the toes, and I'm rolling out red fondant really thin. And I need to tell you, all my fondant has gum tex or Tylose powder mixed into it. It's going to help the fondant dry hard like gum paste. So this needs to be in all the fondant, so this will hold its shape. I will link that in the description. So I'm sprinkling a little bit on there. It looks like a lot, but it's not. It's about a half teaspoon. Get a little Crisco down on the countertop and knead that together. I have videos showing you how I make marshmallow fondant, and I will link that in the description. I'm getting some shortening on the inside of the mold. And look, if you just press that in the mold and you're not careful, it's going to wrinkle. So you need to make sure that you have a smooth side facing down so your heel is smooth. So it can be a little tricky to stick it in here. I just want to make sure that I have smooth fondant facing down, and then just press that into the mold. And now I have a sharp knife, and I'm actually spreading some shortening on the knife so it doesn't stick to the fondant. And I'm actually pressing the knife down to the mold as I'm cutting it out so the fondant doesn't lift out of the mold. And then just press the little jagged edges back down so it is a nice and clean cut. And I need to stick that in the freezer for about a half hour before I remove it. Now I'm rolling out some black fondant for the sole of the shoe, and I want to roll it out a little thick. You see the thickness there. Stick the cutter down on it and cut that out. And then anytime I cut anything out of fondant, I take my time to just run my finger over the edges and smooth everything out. I'm going to flip that red fondant over. I need to wipe off my countertop so the cornstarch isn't on there. And then I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to flip it over. So that's going to be the bottom of the shoe. And I want to get some water down on the bottom so I can stick this red piece of fondant to it. And I'm carefully trying to put this down so it lines up with the black piece. And I'm just refining it with my fingers, making sure that it matches to the edge. Now the little air bubbles form, so I'm just lifting it up on the edge just so I can get rid of those air bubbles. And I'm cutting off the excess that I can see from the top. And just smooth that out, and that looks pretty good. And now I got this heel out of the freezer. It's so much easier to pop this out of the mold once it's solid, and that looks pretty good. I want to make the red bottom part for the heel, so I'm flipping the fondant over onto that little mold, and then I have a line to cut, and I cut that out, and I'm putting that on the heel, and it looks like it fits, so I'm going to get some water on the back and just set that down, and I'm just refining it with my fingers to make sure it lines up with the heel. Now I want to see how this fits on here, and I realized, oops, that red can't go all the way up to the top, so I need to trim off that excess piece because that looks really weird. It's not red where it goes over the heel. So luckily that water isn't dry yet, so I just used an X-Acto knife to cut that line and then remove that excess piece. And now I want this to dry, so I made sure that heel is perfectly straight, and then I put the sole in a Ziploc bag because I don't want it to dry out yet, not until I put it on the former. Now I let that dry overnight, and that heel is solid, so I can start to put this together. I have some piping gel, and I want to line the toe up to the front of the former and let the heel part hang over the edge, and then I'm getting a generous amount of piping gel on the top of the heel there so I could stick that to the bottom of the sole. And you just want to make sure that you line everything up, and the heel has to be straight. See how it was like tilted to the side? So I'm looking at it from every angle, making sure that the heel is straight, and I need to set that aside to dry. Now I want to make the toe and the heel part, so I rolled out some black fondant. Again, this has the Tylose powder mixed into it, and it's a little thick, and I have the toe piece that I want and the heel piece. I'm just putting it on top of the fondant and using a tool to trace. And then my X-Acto knife to cut everything out. And after I cut it out, I'm smoothing my cuts like I always do, and I'm going to grab my shoe and I want to put this on here. So I'm putting the heel former at the heel and the toe former at the toe, and then I can easily lay this on top and get this in proper alignment. And that looks good. So I want to stick it down. So I'm getting piping gel just on the very edge where it's going to touch the sole of the shoe. And then I'm laying it across the toe former and making sure that I'm pressing it against the shoe so it sticks. Same thing for the heel. You want the curved part facing down. And I'm just wrapping it around there, seeing how it fits, and then getting piping gel down where it's going to touch the shoe. And let's wrap it around that heel former. Now I want to make sure that this is really sticking to the sides, and I'm going to take my thumb and kind of wrap it around the bottom of the heel as well. See how I'm like pushing it down underneath there? So it doesn't look like a piece is just stuck on top. It looks like, it looks seamless basically when I do it that way. And just refining it with my fingers and my tools and making sure everything is perfect and in the right place. And let's set that aside. Now I need to make the bow, and I make bows weird. If you see my videos, you know I do. Look, I'm cutting two pieces. I'm lining the straight edges together, cutting it down the side, separate it so they don't stick. And then I'm starting down, I go up, and then I come down on the other side. And same thing on the bottom, I go down and then come up. And I'm gonna peel them apart. And I want to fold it in half and see. That looks like it's a little too big, so I need to cut it a little smaller. So I'm stacking them on top of each other again, cut the side a little bit, and then I'm going to cut the width a little bit. And then let's separate the pieces. I could fold it in half, and that's much better. I have videos that I go into complete detail on how I make bows, and I will link that in the description. So I'm just folding the middle in, and that looks good. Let's do the same thing. Get some water down, put the pieces together, fold it up and then down. And there's your little loops of the bow. I'm going to cut a little piece off of each edge, and look, it fits together perfectly. And then I want to have a little rectangle here, and I'm folding the sides down. I just feel like it looks better, cleaner when you fold the sides down, get a little bit of water down. And then in the middle of the loops, stick that together and put that half on that rectangle. It was a little long, so I cut a piece off. I'm going to wrap it over and then tuck it under. And there's your little shoe bow. It's my weird way, but it works. And it lays on there perfectly. So I want to get some water underneath to stick it down. And I'm just using my handle just to make sure that that's really stuck to the toe piece of the shoe. And now I want to make a liner. And this doesn't come with a liner, so I Googled one. I'll put this in the description. But do you see how I'm cutting it to size? I cut it out and then I put it up against there, and it was too big. So now I'm cutting it until I get it to the perfect size, and that looks good. I rolled out some tan fondant, and again, it has some Tylose powder mixed in. I'm using my tools just to trace it, and then I'm going to cut it out and smooth the jagged edges. And that looks like it fits perfectly. Nice. So let's get some water on the back. And I'm going to gently put this in there, starting at the top and making sure no air bubbles form underneath as I put it down the shoe. And now I just want to get this into the right place before the water dries using my tools. And then I'm going to use my fingers to try to press it up to the edges of that heel piece. And now I want to shine this up a little bit. I'm going to use a little bit of shortening on a paintbrush. You can use a steamer if you have it. I don't have a steamer, so I like to do this method. And I'm just lightly painting some shortening on all the black parts. Make sure you get the inside of the heel piece and the inside of the toe, like just anywhere that's black, the back of the heel. And I just want to shine it up because sometimes the cornstarch can make the black fondant look a little gray, and this just deepens the color and makes it look like a patent leather shoe, if you will. And then I'm going to wipe the excess on a paper towel and just go over it, trying to remove the excess shortening. And there is the shoe. How adorable. So there you go. There is the adorable high heel shoe cake topper. A couple things about this. You want to make sure that you make this a few days in advance. I think I started on a Monday and finished on a Friday. So you need time for that heel to dry. And then once you shape it on that former, you need a couple days for that to dry and to have the toe piece and the heel piece. Like all that needs a little while to dry so it can hold its shape. Now this went on top of a cake that I had to deliver to Center City, which I've said in other videos, Center City deliveries can be really stressful. However, this one, I got to go to the 52nd floor of a high-rise building, and it was such a beautiful view that it made all the annoyance of getting there worth it. So I did not put the shoe on top of the cake until I got to the venue. I kept it on that shoe former, and I actually wrapped it in food safe plastic wrap so it wouldn't fall off. I put it in a plastic box and I took that with me. And my mom came with me and she filmed me as I was setting it up. So once I got there, I brought some icing with me. I put a little bit of icing on top of the cake and where the toe part of the shoe goes, and then I just rest it on top. I just was super nervous about driving with the shoe on the top of the cake. There's nothing that would really hold it down. So it's just one of those things that need to be set up on the delivery. I'm sure you could probably get like a toothpick or a skewer in the bottom of the heel, but it's just, I'm just too scared to do that. And I don't want to mess up my shoe. Wait, it makes me think of, who saw Eddie Murphy? Is it Raw or Delirious when Aunt Bunny is falling down the stairs and she loses her shoe? She's like, my shoe! Anyway. Yeah, if you have someone picking up a cake that has that shoe topper on it, you may want to do the same thing, not give them the former, but just wrap it up and have them place it on top once they get to the venue. So I think that's it. What new techniques did you learn in this video? I would love to know. Leave it in the comments below. Please like this video if you liked it, and if you were enjoying my tutorials, I would be so grateful if you could buy me a coffee. My link is pinned in the comments below. And you can keep in touch on socials and check out my website. Everything is listed in the description. And if you want to stick around, you can watch this video next and hit subscribe and the bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. And remember, it's cake, have fun. I will see you on the next one. Bye.